Come along for the ride. I'm Beto Duran. I used to deliver the LA Times into the news racks in the 90s with my dad. Now I get to host a podcast. Arrive early, leave late. Yes, you are lucky to have her, the one and only Tania Ganguli, the pride of Arcadia High, Northwestern Wildcat, covering the Lakers, your third NBA season. And if you check out the NBA preview section, and look, come on now, we ain't looking for the NBA section. We're looking for the LeBron section. That's what it was over the weekend. You had a one-on-one with LeBron James, and that's hard to do.
What do you read?
Well, I get referenced a lot of books. Right now, I am reading Havana Nocturnal about the mob taking over Cuba. But then it getting taken back because of the Revolutionary War.
That sounds interesting.
So it's about Meyer Lansky and all those guys when they were Lucky Luciano and all those guys back in the Prohibition days.
Okay, yeah,
it's pretty good.
That's interesting.
It is.
Do you read history a lot, or is it?
I love history.
Okay.
Definitely read more and more about it. But you got to be careful with history because some people's depiction is. There's different forms of history, so you gotta be careful who you read. But some of it that gives you like the visual as well is pretty cool.
Is there a time period that you relate to the most? Outside of?
No, it's not a time period. Obviously, I look a lot about the 20s and the 40s and the 60s, especially with the Depression and everything that African American people were going through back in those days, not being able to step foot in certain places, work in certain places, obviously with women not being able to vote, and not being able to ride in front of the bus and things of that nature. So I always kind of go back to those days to see what we as our people have gone through over time. But I also love the mob. I'm a huge mob fan. So going all the way back to those days of some of the greatest mob bosses.
When I'm really interested in how, because I'm about the same age as you, and when I used to cover football, and in football, like, there's nobody in an NFL locker room that's 19.
Right. It's not.
And so, like, when I came here, like, it was so different for me, because suddenly, this team was so young until this year.
Right.
What's that like for you because a lot of these guys are closer in age to your oldest son.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got a lot of kids on this team that was born in the 90s, late 90s.
Yeah.
You look at, one of my favorites, Brandon Ingram. He was born, I think, 98, if I'm not mistaken, 97, possibly. So, I'm always getting ready for high school.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool to know where they are at their point in their lives and how much more room for growth, not only as a basketball player, but as young men. So that's exciting to be around. And they have that young man energy, which is always great. What
do you like about that?
They're always excited about what's next. They're always excited about the next practice, the next shoot around, the next game. They always they are energetic, and like I said, for me, being around energy, seekers against energy givers, and to be around these givers, these guys want to give energy. We all want to give energy to each other instead of being around a lot of people that want to just take your energy, So, that definitely, it could be something that can work very well.
Is that a hard balance sometimes? Because it seems like, I haven't been around you that much, but it seems like you have sort of a switch that you flip sometimes when it's like business time. And I wonder if like younger guys, like if they don't have that yet.
Well, yeah, I think it would be a learning experience for them because some of them, they don't know.
Yeah.
So you can't expect them to know. So that you have to understand that you have to guide them and teach them and allow them to make mistakes. Because I believe the best teacher in life is experience. So you have to allow them to make mistakes and fall on their face and be able to get back up from it and see how they can react to that. So, I am a very, very I have a business approach when I come to work, because that's how it should be. You come to work, you get your work done, but at the same time, you want to have fun doing whatever you do. So, it's a line. It's a line, in there, which is a really good line.
A lot of these guys, like every time we ask them things about, Luke has said that, nobody's starstruck, nobody's awestruck. They're just working, and he's a teammate. LeBron's a teammate. It would be natural for them to think this is really cool. Alonzo had your poster on his wall growing up. I'm sure a lot of them did. Have you sort of set that tone that like this is not like they do not need to be in awe of you, like they shouldn't be? Is that something?
I mean, I think we should all be in awe of each other if we're doing the right thing, and that's making plays on the floor. We should all be like, oh, dang, did you see what B.I. just did, or Kuz, So, Josh Hart? Did you see what he just did? That was like something that we wasn't all expecting. So we should all, if we're serious about what we're here for, and we put in the time, we should all have all moments. And for me, I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the guys. I come in, I punch my clock in, I put my hard hat on, and I go to work every single day, just like the rest of them. And I just want to lead those guys as much as they would like me to lead them, as much as they want me to lead them. And if I do something that's not in the better of the team, I would like one of them to say something to me too, because that's what we're here for.
Really interesting to hear LeBron describe that. And when you hear it, and then when you read your story, Tania, like I was at home, I'm reading this, right? And I'm 40. My son is 13. We've been at the same tournaments where Bronny's playing at, because my son's also in the AAU world. Not on the same level, because it's just a different world when Bronny's showing up. But I am around, and my daughter, who's 8, is showing me the Wiggles dance from Fortnite. And I feel like that dad who has no idea what's going on, but I pretend to know what some of the music is. Young Dolphin? Is that what it was?
Young Dolph. So
see, I'm not learning it right.
LeBron actually, so in our conversation, he talked a lot about wanting to understand that even though there's a lot that he learned from being a parent about how you lead different kinds of people, how you lead different, younger people too. And then we come out of our interview and we go to the scrum, we call it, right? So we're talking, a bunch of us are talking to LeBron at the same time after practice. This is a few hours later. And somebody asks him, are there things that you learn from your younger teammates? Like, are they teaching you about rappers or music or movies or something? And he goes, no, everything that they're into, my kids are into. And so, I went around to some of the young guys on the team, because LeBron, in our interview, in our sit down, he did mention, he's like, yeah, it's crazy that Brandon Ingram was born when I was getting ready for high school. So
he's on that stage of his life.
Yeah. So,
because when I went to college, there was no Google.
Yeah.
For you, there was, right?
Yeah, there was. It was just starting out.
Yeah,
so
there was no email for me.
So young Dolph.
You'll learn about this, Tania.
Yeah. Young Dolph came up when I was talking to Brandon Ingram. So I went to him and I said, LeBron said that because of you guys listen to stuff his kids listen to, or you guys do some of the stuff, so he's not surprised by it. And he said, and Brandon started laughing, and then he said, yeah, there is a little bit of that. I listen to the same music as his son. And I was like, give me an example. So he said Young Dolph. So then we had that great quote from Josh Hart where he says, yeah, he is into all those what J. Cole would call short bus rappers. So I think Josh was also a little resistant to the idea that he does like some of the things that LeBron's kids like. But then Josh thought about it for a second. He was like, well, I love to play video games, so I guess I can't really say anything.
Yeah, Hart and his Fortnite. You've done a lot of stuff in your career, Tania. Did you ever think that you're going to ask people about LeBron, his son, and the rap music they listen to? It's the NBA. It's the NBA in 2018.
What people are listening to, what people are reading, it's all very interesting to me.
It really is. Tania Ganguli, she'll be covering the Lakers all season long, her 3rd season with them. Follow her at, her Twitter is?
Tania Ganguli.
Tania. And we're going to check in with her all throughout the season and see what kind of tacos you can find in Oklahoma City. Transitioning from the Lakers, which obviously is going to be a heavy focus of the podcast once the season gets going. Because if you want to do something to get your numbers up, you put LeBron and then your numbers spike up. Right, Dan Woike?
That's what you do. It's everything I do. I cover LeBron James and the NBA for LeBron James and the Los Angeles Times.
Correct, Dan Woike. What is your title now? You have a new job.
National NBA writer, I think. How about that, right?
National NBA
I know.
writer.
International even. I went to Canada to do this job already.
Wait, when do you get to go to like the FIBA tournaments?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, of course you would.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, we're going to say Dan Woike.
Depends on where the tournament is.
Turkey.
Nah.
Italy.
Okay, I'll be there.
Milan.
Oh, I'll be there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah, I'll go.
During Oktoberfest.
Okay, then I might already be there.
Attaboy, Woike.
Might already be there.
So what does an NBA national writer actually do?
I think the people in this town love basketball. This is a basketball town, right? At least it has been in my lifetime.
Yep.
And that love extends. I mean, you want to know.
You, Woike. Give me a good answer. What does NBA writer do?
I go to these towns, I eat the food in the press room, and I talk to the best players in the world.
There you go.
It's a pretty good deal.
So the NBA...
Bad food and good players.
Woike, if you want to be invited back to the podcast, you don't give me generic reporter answers like, oh, yeah, about... No, you give me good stuff, man.
All right, I go for seconds.
People's attention span is short on this podcast.
I get the brisket. I usually get the brisket. I arrive early.
Leave late and get extra food. That's what happened, Woike.
No, yeah. I mean, but no, it's the greatest. I am not tethered to a team, right? So wherever the best story is, I get to go. It's great.
For the NBA preview issue, you went to how many different cities?
3. I went to Toronto because I think they made probably the biggest non-Laker change. They had the coach of the year. They fired him. They had a guy in DeMar DeRozan, an LA guy who had found a second home and really had grown into a franchise great player, a guy whose number will be retired by the Toronto Raptors someday, I think. I mean, he's the all-time leading scorer there, okay. And they had him. They were in a good, comfortable position where they were always going to be near the top of the East, and they decided to trade him for Kawhi Leonard, a guy that didn't play at all last year. So I went and checked them out a little bit, a team that I think is in a really probably the most important season of their franchise's history. Whether
you talked to Kawhi?
I did not talk to Kawhi.
Shocker.
I did not talk to
Shocker.
Kawhi. He whispered in my direction.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. I talked to Masai Ujiri, though, the general manager. I talked to the head coach, Nick Nurse, a guy who used to coach in Europe, like in England. He coached for a team that their nickname changed like 4 times during the time he coached for them.
Wait. Toronto's coach, it used to be in England?
Yeah. We're going to write about him down the road.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
You're coming back for this.
Yeah,
that means you got to go to London to the story.
One of my good friends wrote a story last year that one of the best coaches in English basketball history, his name's like Fabulous Flournoy or something like that. He's an American player.
Woike, come on
I'm
now.
in. It's a crazy league. It's a league that used to be popular, and then it went through a stretch where they would play in front of like 75 people.
So if you're going to be the international reporter, we got to
international NBA reporter.
We got to get the stuff about the English Basketball League.
I know.
Woike. Arrive early, leave late. People want to know about
in England. That's really early over there too.
And then you also went to Houston.
I went to Houston.
You saw your old buddy.
Talked to Chris Paul.
How's he doing?
He's good.
Does he miss you?
He does miss me
because you used to be the Clipper.
I got him in trouble. Really early on down there
in Houston.
Yeah.
Why?
So when we were talking the first time I saw him, we were talking in a group, and he'd made some mention about how much fun their style is, and I kind of asked him like, well, what's fun about it? And he said one of the things he said was that no one ever side-eyes you or looks at you when you shoot too much. And I kind of was like, I know what you mean. I covered the Clippers for 6 years. That team had some stuff always going on behind the scenes. There
Who's
were guys.
He talking about?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure there.
I can't tell you. Who do you think?
I would guess probably. DeAndre was a guy who always wanted the ball more. Blake was a guy who always wanted the ball more. They're great players.
A bunch of guys on the team.
Yeah, Jamal liked to shoot. There are a lot of guys that like to shoot on that team. And so anyway, he had kind of said, and look, James Harden likes to shoot too, okay? And if James Harden's not getting his shots, like he'll side-eye Chris Paul in a second. So anyway, I kind of made some sort of joke. Well, somebody down there was like, oh, he took a big shot at the Clippers. And then Chris had to go on TV and explain like, nah, I was just talking to Dan.
Oh, he knows your name?
Yeah, my first name, not my last.
Yeah, there's no way he knows. But everybody knows you as Woike.
I know, except our boss on this podcast who thinks it's Wokie. Angel Rodriguez.
Oh, hey, no politics on here, man. Don't be bringing the Wokie or stuff around here. And then what other city did you go to?
I went to Oakland to go see Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors.
Does he know you?
He knows me, yes.
Really?
A little.
Okay.
He said hi to me in Vegas.
Okay. He's a polite young man.
I feel like now you're making me justify yeah, he knows me.
Hey. You've been around the NBA for a while, Woke.
Do you know who else knows me?
Who?
Vinny Del Negro.
Did you get him fired?
No. I quit smoking the day he got fired.
What?
That was like my touchstone was whenever that season ended, I was going to quit smoking, and then he got fired and I quit smoking. That's how I always know when I quit.
So you quit smoking?
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Congratulations.
When Vinny Del Negro got fired. If he gets rehired, I have to start again.
See, you were brought up in the wrong era. You would have been the ultimate 50s, 60s sports writer with
I would have had so many fedoras.
A pint of Jack in the briefcase, 2 packs of smokes a day.
Couple Luckies. Unfiltered Luckies.
I don't even know what that means, but sure.
Lucky Strikes. That's like the Madman cigarettes.
I've never touched a cigarette in my life, Woike.
Good for you. You're not missing much. And I think they're not a sponsor, are they, Beto?
Not yet.
Oh, we were brought to you by Pall Mall?
Them too. Warriors are that legit, huh? They still are.
Yeah. I think to me their biggest thing is how does a team that's so much better than everybody else stay motivated? And I think that's what's fun is when they re-sign a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, or when they sign a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, a guy they don't need to sign, they can kind of disrupt their greatness, right? And to give themselves another challenge. And I think that's what's really interesting to watch with them. Three-peating's hard.
NBA season is going to get going. where will you be coming up? Like, you get to figure out wherever you want to go?
I'm going to go see LeBron James first game as a Laker.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come watch Paul George first game back in Los Angeles after saying no to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then I'm going to see Chris Paul come play the Lakers.
Oh, so you don't get to travel?
No, I'm going on the road. I'm going to Portland.
Oh, they're in Portland?
The Lakers are open in Portland.
Is there like donuts in Portland?
There are Voodoo Donuts in Portland. There's terrific fried chicken in Portland at Imperial. I've got some spots there.
All right, Woike.
Portland's a good road town.
We're gonna get to this. The
top 10.
You know, we might have a Dan Woike food podcast
Oh, boy.
by the time we're done with all this.
A lot of salads, hopefully, according to my
Mixing
doctor.
the salads, baby. Mixing the salad. Because you wear those V-neck sweaters. You got to make sure that it still fit.
know.
Dan Woike, LA Times, your sports. Wait, what's your title?
A national NBA writer. You know my Twitter handle, right?
No, did you change it?
No, because you gave it to me
Well, you know what, Woike?
years ago.
This podcast is for another time, but back when you showed up to this town wearing white Oakleys and Pete Carroll.
Frosted tips? Almost.
And look
Almost.
at you now.
I know.
NBA International Man of Mystery, Dan Woike Sports, Woike is where you want to follow
Sports,
him.
because I cover sports. That was your logic. That's smart.
Man, I'm having a lot of fun. Arrive early and leave late, but we're not done. Just got to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor.
Basketball season is finally back, and you know what that means. It's time to put your basketball knowledge to the test with one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings. DraftKings is giving away millions of dollars in prizes this season. Put your basketball knowledge to the test, and you could get paid like the king. No matter what your skill level is, there's a contest waiting for you at DraftKings. Drafting your team is simple. Just select 8 players and stay under the $50,000 salary cap. Earn points when your players score, assist, block, rebound, and more. The best part is, you get to draft a new team every day without any commitment. There's no better way to turn your love of basketball into cash. Download the app or head over to DraftKings.com now and use code LA to support the show and play free with your first deposit. And remember, there will be millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs throughout the season. That's code LA to play for free with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings, the game inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for terms and conditions.
Really excited for the NBA coverage that Tania and Dan will have, along with Brad Turner and the entire LA Times staff. Pumped just to hear them talking. We're going to get them a lot during the NBA season. And of course, LeBron's making news in LA, but so are the Dodgers. Now, for me, 30 years ago, I was at my house in Carson. I think it was 10 years old. Saw the Kirk Gibson home run, and I popped out of the bed, and I hit my head on the ceiling because, you know, it was a bunk bed. So I was sharing it with my brother. And I'm thinking, okay, the Dodgers are going to go World Series again. Last year, I saw them at the World Series, but they haven't won a World Series. And a man who was there in 1988 covering the Dodgers, you know him, you love him, the one and only Bill Plaschke, my favorite columnist at the LA Times.
I got a question for you, Beto. So
Yes.
you were in bed. Gibson hit the home run. It was about 8:30 at night. So you were in bed at 8:30 at night. You were going to bed that early?
I was laying in a bed.
In a bed?
In a bed. Because there's 7 kids. There's no room in the house. So there was...
So you were watching the TV
I was
from
watching
your
the
bed?
TV from the bed, and then I jumped up from the bunk bed. It was the top bunk, and I hit my head on the ceiling, and I was like, wow, because I was a big Dodger fan, played baseball, and I was like, wow. So I knew the story about Jesse Orozco and the eye black, because I would read the LA Times. Believe it or not, Bill, my dad and mom were delivered the newspaper into the news racks, so I would help out. So I'd always read the sports page. So I knew the names of like Jim Murray and Alan Malama and Plaschke and Mal Florence and all the names that the Times had. So I'm like thinking as a kid, they're going to the World Series again, but they haven't won one since 1988.
Yeah, I had a similar incident in 88. I was in my seat in the auxiliary press box covering the game. I was doing one of the sidebars. So it's getting toward the end of the game. It's getting the last inning. I got to get downstairs. I got to get my quotes. The Dodgers are going to lose this game. Eckersley is on the mound for the A's. There's no way the Dodgers are going to win this game. So I get ready. I go to the elevator, and the elevator door opens, and I get on the elevator, and they're getting ready to close, and this older woman in a walker's coming up. So the elevator operator holds the elevator, hold on, let this nice lady on the elevator. And as the nice lady's getting on the elevator, I hear the announcement, now batting Kirk Gibson. I'm like, holy crap! I jump out of the elevator just as it closed, ran back to my seat and saw the home run.
No way. That
That was the
auxiliary
only-
press box is where? At the
right
reserve
above.
level?
It's reserve level, right above the press box. So I was sitting up there, so I almost missed the home run. I saw it. I did a lot better than the dude who I think the most famous image of the home run is, of course, the pump fist.
Yeah.
The second most famous image is the brake lights. And
Yep.
you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
The lone brake
All
light
those people.
of the dude in right field. One dude who said, "Oh my God, I'm trying to leave early and I missed the greatest moment in baseball history." Well, that guy emailed me about a year ago and said, "I'm the guy with the brake lights." And I'm like, I just don't know how to vet that. I don't know whether he's true or not. I didn't know, and so I was unsure about that guy. But that's the second most iconic image. You know what the biggest mystery of the home run still is? 30 years later, where's the ball? They never found the ball.
Come on.
You didn't know that. Beto, you've been in this town long, you've been in this town, you didn't know that. I have written columns and columns about this, trying to find the ball. The ball, this is back before memorabilia was a big thing.
Yeah.
So nobody really thought about running and getting it right away. They didn't have it right away. So nobody, if you look at the film, and I've looked at the Zapruder film of this thing, broken down, it lands at the feet of some guy who picks it up.
Yeah.
So that's all we know. I spent several years trying to find him. Finally, the guy, I'm convinced it's the guy, emailed me, contacted me, said, "Yeah, I'm the guy in that picture. You've been looking for me for all these years. I had the ball." I said, "Had the ball?"
What?
I said, "Where's the ball?" He said, "Well, I gave it to my girlfriend." I said,
No!
I'm not done. I'm not done.
All right, I'll be quiet. I'm mad
so,
already.
So I gave it to my girlfriend. I said, "Okay, so where is she?" "Well, we broke up." "You broke up? So what happened?" She said, "We broke up. So what'd you do with the ball?" "Well, she gave it to her father." "Where's her father?" "He's dead." "He's dead?" I said, "So what happened to the ball?" And he said, "Well, I gave it to my girlfriend. We broke up." I said, "Dude, really bad. That's a bad breakup. That's a bad. But if you give somebody a Gibson ball, that's like a wedding ring, right?"
It's
Anyway,
better.
It's better. Yeah. Anyway, so she gave him the ball. They broke up. He called her and said, "Where's the ball? I'm sorry we're not together anymore. Can I get the ball in the divorce?" She said, "No, I gave it to my dad." He said, "Fine, I'll come over and get it. Come over next week or next month." My dad's got it. Well, her father passed away suddenly. And he rushed over to the house to pay his condolences and also look over the shoulder of the mourners. "Where's that freaking ball?" "God rest your soul. He was a good man. Where's my baseball?" That's how that, okay? So they said, well, he put it in a garage. He put it in a shoebox in the garage. So he says, "Well, listen, can I?" And so he's going through the tray of cold cuts and having the drinks and mourning with the family, and he sneaks his way out to the garage to look, and the garage is empty, buried. And he comes back and he says, "What happened?" He says, "Oh, right before his death, God rest his soul, he had a garage sale, sold everything, and the ball is gone forever." This is the story of the missing baseball. Gibson tried to find it. I've tried to find it. This is the closest I've come to believing in a story about it. And this guy went through the whole thing. He was crying on the phone with me, saying he had the ball and lost it. So now, of course, whoever bought that and got that ball in that shoebox, if they had any idea what it was, it wouldn't be impossible to authenticate now. So that is lost. That is lost forever. That remains the biggest mystery in LA sports, other than
That might be all sports history, because that should be at the Baseball Hall of Fame. It should be on display somewhere for. How many Dodger fans would make the Holy Grail to go see that ball?
Oh yeah, and then and of course Gibby then sold a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
For money, he needed money, sold a lot of his stuff after that. But that was the holy. Outside of whether the ghost of Hank Gathers is in the pavilion at LMU, this is the biggest mystery in LA sports.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, it was 30 years ago, and it was incredible. So Gibby hits a home run, and my other favorite part of the story. Can I keep talking about this?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you.
Because this is a legacy. This is why you wonder why people are so crazy right now for the Dodgers to win. Why they've been so crazy for the Dodgers for so many years. Why 30 years is too damn long for this to happen again. Because this was special. The Dodgers owned this town, Metro, back then. Forget the Lakers. The Dodgers owned this joint. They ran this town.
It was during Showtime basketball too.
And it didn't matter because they were old school LA. Even today, you look at the crowd at Chavez Ravine, it looks like LA.
Oh yeah,
more so than any other
diverse.
sport. So diverse, so wonderfully. It's
in all sections too.
In all sections. Anyway, so my other favorite story though of the Gibson home run is the when he remember he's sitting down in the trainer's room during the game, and he can't walk, and he hears Vince Scully say on the TV, Gibby cannot play today. He's not going to play today, so I'm going to go out and show him. Well, there's nobody downstairs to help him out except a bat boy named Mitch Poole. He's a kid bat boy. So he said, Mitch, come over here. This is during the game. Remember, game 1 of the World Series, Dodgers, Oakland A's. Dodgers really heavy underdog. So Gibson's their hero, and he can't play. It's like the sixth or seventh inning. So he enlists Mitch Poole to help him get dressed, to help pitch him balls in the cage, to put balls on a tee for him in the cage. Finally, in the 9th inning, he tells Mitch, go tell Tommy I'm ready. He says, what? He says, yeah, go to the dugout and tell Tommy I'm ready. Mitch is wearing gym shorts and a T-shirt. He's not allowed in the dugout. He's a backup bat boy. He says, I can't do it. He says, Mitch, there's no other way to get out there. You got to tell him I'm ready. So Mitch goes to the end of the dugout. And everybody said, what are you doing here, Mitch? And he screams, Tommy's sat at the far end, away from the tunnel. So Mitch is screaming at Tommy.
Yeah, because the tunnel is closer to the third base dugout.
Right.
Third base than it is the on-deck circle.
Tommy. Lasorda looks at him and says, you get the hell out of here. I'm trying to manage a World Series game. Somebody get that kid, tell that kid to shut up. And he said, Tommy. And he's scared to death. And he said, Tommy, Gibby can play. Gibby can play. What? Gibby can play. Holy crap. Gibby can play. So Tommy runs in there, grabs Gibson. The rest is history. So fast forward 25 years. Gibson finally allowed the Dodgers to give him a bobblehead. Yeah. He didn't really want anything.
He wanted nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah, he just wanted to, he wanted to be a team victory. He's the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he came back to town, they gave him a bobblehead, and he said you can throw out the first pitch. And Gibby finally agreed to do it. So they announced it. Throwing out the first pitch, Kirk Gibson, standing ovation. Out to the mound walks this middle-aged guy in shorts and a T-shirt. Guess who it was? Throwing the first pitch for Gibson at Gibson's request. Mitch Poole.
No way.
Mitch Poole. He gave it. Yes, he honored him because all those years later, and nobody had any idea what was going on. And Mitchell threw the first pitch for Gibson.
Yeah, Mitch Poole is now the Dodgers equipment manager.
He was the clubhouse manager. Now he's the visiting clubhouse manager.
Now he's running the show. He's
great guy.
Great guy. I didn't know all. Wow, that's why Bill Plaschke.
There's all kinds of stories. So that's why the Dodgers, the '88 was so special and so unlikely, and the most unlikely team maybe to ever win a World Series, honestly. And fans have just been hungry for that. And now, in recent years, they've had so much money and so much talent, and they still haven't gotten it done. And that's why fans just are longing for it. And then to have it go to Game 7 last year was devastating. I almost wish they hadn't even gotten to the playoffs at all. To lose in Game 7 devastated the town, devastated the team, devastated them for the first couple months of this year. It's a hungry town for this thing. And 88, and that's why, because 88, the legend of 88 lives on.
And the legend is Bill Plaschke. He's going to have a huge role on the Arrive Early, Leave Late podcast. Thank you.
Yes,
so much.
I'm glad it's called Arrive Early, Leave Late as a play on, because Dodger fans, all LA fans, they're the best sports fans in the world.
Heck yeah, they are.
They're smartest, they're the most sophisticated fans in the world. And if they arrive late, it's because of traffic. And if you leave early, it's because you ain't entertaining them. I have never been to a game decided in the last minute where anybody left early in this town, ever. You try to get out of Dodger Stadium after a ninth inning victory, you can't get out. Forget it.
All right, Angel, don't get all emotional. I know you heard that and you're thinking, man, my goodness, Beto used to deliver the LA Times and now I hired this guy living the dream. But why did you hire me?
Well,
and can you afford me?
You're here, so obviously, yes. So we've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time. It's been something that as an organization we've wanted to do. Thankfully now we have leadership that has given us the runway to get these things done. And so that's what we're doing now is actually we're in a studio, we have microphones, we have a budget, we're doing this right. And before we sort of did this very lo-fi and by the seat of our pants, now we're trying to do this right. And really the point is to highlight our journalism in the best way possible.
That's a very professional answer there.
It is.
And what is your title once again?
I was recently promoted, so now I'm assistant managing editor for sports. Basically, my functions are still the same. I'm still the sports editor, so I handle all the, the sort of the management aspect of the sports department.
You sound like a very professional man who has an office, probably.
I have an office.
And your name is?
Angel Rodriguez.
Angel Rodriguez? The sports editor of the LA Times?
Angel Julio.
Oh, Angel Julio.
Uh-huh.
So AJ Rod?
Well, that's my Twitter handle because I couldn't have the. I wasn't early enough on the A-Rod to get A-Rod, but AJ Rod is.
AJ Rod is where you want to send your complaints or your thoughts or your observations, or if you want to tell everybody that they love the podcast so much. Angel Rodriguez, the sports editor of the LA Times, is what I'm gonna call you. And then when I tell people who I know you're also the managing editor,
assistant managing.
editor. Assistant. That's a big job.
It's a big title.
It's a big title.
But,
do you have a door on your office?
I have a door. I have a lock.
But I need to stop playing around. I need to stop playing around.
I mean, to shift a little bit more the focus here, this podcast I think is going to be something that I hope the listeners really appreciate because it's really going to be highlighting the journalism that we do, the reporters that we have, the interactions they have with you to sort of tell the behind the scenes stories. Which I think is really important and something that we've needed to do for a long time. And
on a serious note, not to cut you off there, Angel, but you're the sports editor of a newspaper, but yet you guys are launching a podcast.
Yes.
And why?
Well, because obviously it's a format. We're probably a little late to the game in the sense of a lot of people have been doing podcasts for a long time. They've been doing it really well. I think in our case, what we're looking to do is to get our journalism out in different platforms. This seems like a natural fit with Los Angeles. Now that as the Los Angeles Times has moved to El Segundo, I now have a 40-minute commute. It seems like a perfect opportunity for people to get caught up with sports news, sports journalism, and really sort of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we try to do and to get our listeners sort of caught up with everything that's happening in the world of sports that maybe goes beyond just what you read in the newspaper or online. And so we feel like this is just a natural format for our journalism. One of the advantages we have here as opposed to a lot of other newspapers is we have a fairly extensive travel budget. So we're at events that a lot of people aren't. And so what we're going to try to do is get you the story there. While we're there, it's to get you the story and get you the headlines. One example I keep bringing up in a lot of these meetings when I was selling this concept was we had Helene Elliott at the U.S. Open women's final when Serena had that, I'm not going to say meltdown because that's a kind of a loaded term, but had that interaction with the referees. We were there and she wrote a great column. We could have easily done a podcast that night and gotten that reaction because we're there. Kevin Baxter's with the U.S. women at the World Cup qualifying. We're pretty much everywhere. And so being able to take people to where the events are happening and provide a little bit of background on what's happening and sort of the inside story, I think is something we need to do. And, all our people are pretty much on a lot of radio stations. They're doing a lot of other stuff. We just thought it was good to bring everything in-house.
To put it in perspective, how many people are on the sports department staff? How many writers you got?
I think we're in the mid-20s right now. We've just added 3, so I don't have the exact count, but it's in the mid-20s.
If you're working for the LA Times, you're a rock star. Like, you might not have that big-time personality where you're on TV shouting all the time, but to get to the LA Times, that's the Yankees, that's the Dodgers, that's the Lakers. It's the epitome of where you want to be in the newspaper world.
Yeah, it really is. I was talking with the job candidate, kind of a well-known person. I won't name just yet. Hopefully we'll be able to get them signed up recently. And he said when we were doing the interview, they said, this is one of the papers that's on the Mount Rushmore of U.S. journalism. Yeah. And that really put it in perspective for me. It's like, he was like, of course I want to work here. Like, this is one of the preeminent news organizations in the country. And I think now with the leadership of Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, local ownership, we're kind of getting our swagger back a little bit. And
it feels like it.
And
feels like it.
I mean, we're here in a podcast studio,
and we can do whatever we want with this podcast, right? I mean, to an extent. With journalistic
we'll talk.
All right. So I can't go to like Culiacan and do a podcast?
Maybe Sinaloa with Kevin Baxter.
See, there we go. Okay, so the podcast, we're going to slowly roll it out. We're going to bring you the stories from the voices of the writers. But like you said, if Helene is at Wimbledon and we want to talk to her because breaking news, we could do a podcast there.
Yep.
NBA Finals, we can do one every single night if we want to. We have the capability to do stuff like that.
Yep. The Dodgers in the World Series. Like, if that happens, as we slowly get going, I think, we have just a little perspective. I mean, we have right now covering the Dodgers in the NLCS, both at home and on the road. We have Bill Plaschke, Dylan Hernandez, Andy McCullough, Jorge Castillo, and Bill Shaken.
You have 5 people on the...
Yeah, and then we have Maria Torres is
She's
at
in
the
the AL.
ALCS.
Yeah, I saw that.
When they make the World Series, if they make the World Series, wherever it is, Boston and Houston, we'll have 6 people covering and that doesn't include a videographer. That doesn't include 2 photographers.
Wally Scally did an amazing shot.
I mean, our photographers are great. So we will then be able to bring that, all those stories
That's
all they
cool,
have
man.
is what we're really trying to get across.
All right, so are we going to do a weekly Ask Angel segment?
If the readers and the listeners want that, sure, we can do that.
First question: can Beto get more money?
I think he needs to get money first. he needs to get his first paycheck, and then he can make a decision.
I thought you were going to answer with, "You don't even have a badge to get in the building, kid. You still got a visitor."
He has a sticker that says Beto Duran on it, but we'll get there.
And the name of it, it was arrive early, leave late. You're from Houston, right?
Right.
So you probably made fun of the LA people for showing up late.
Totally.
And now?
One of the things, one of the stereotypes, both, I remember growing up in Houston when it was like the Ralph Sampson, Hakeem Olajuwon playing the Magic, Kareem.
I hated those teams.
It was always the stereotype. It was, the beat LA. I lived in Phoenix for a long time, and those beat LA chants were prominent.
I take it as a badge of honor. Like, you wish you were in LA.
Exactly. And it's very much that people care about you, so that's what they want to beat you.
They don't boo nobodies.
That's exactly right. And so so that stereotype was very prominent even up until recently. The game 163, there was a lot of comments about the fact that it wasn't completely sold out, and if it was in Colorado, it'd be sold out. But being here now and understanding the passion of the sports fan base, I think we just wanted to flip that. And so it's, it very much is arrive early, leave late. And along those same lines, our journalists are those people that are one of the first people in the building. They're one of the last people to leave. I mean, you've done a lot of boxing. They basically have to kick Lance Pugmire out of the T-Mobile because it's they got to move on. And so, Gary Klein is one of the first people at whatever Rams game he's at. He's one of the first people there. Like, he'll show up at 8:00 in the morning for
when he was covering SC, he was there before Pete Carroll. He was there before they were chalking the field.
Right. So, I mean, that's one of those things where it's sort of the more we talked about the name of it, and so many sports podcasters have such cliched names, and all that stuff has just been done, extra time, overtime, all that stuff.
Sports animals.
Right. So it's like we wanted to think of something that was uniquely cool. Uniquely LA. And so that's, hopefully the name sticks, and we'll keep doing it, and it'll be around a long time.
And we're going to take people on their drive to work, on their drive home, on their ride. Let's do the basic stuff. On their hike at Runyon Canyon, or when they're getting their latte.
Exactly.
No, we're not going close cliches. We're getting this is for the working man, for the sports person who loves their LA teams. We're going to take you there behind the scenes. We're going to show you the world. And Angel Julio Rodriguez. Where did you go to school?
University of Texas.
Yeah, we'll let that go. He's the editor of the LA Times sports page. Thank you very much, and we're going to make you proud
Beto.
with this, man.
Thank you, Beto, and welcome aboard.
Can I get a sticker?
You can, maybe we'll get you a real badge at some point.
All right,
one day you'll have a badge.
I don't want that. You do a podcast and it flies by, right? Or you're driving around and you're like, wait, well, we're done? Yeah, we're done. And I'm looking at my phone right now, and I'm getting these messages like, hey, congratulations on the podcast. Hey, when can I come on? Hey, you know what? You're all going to come on. Easy, LA Times people. We're going to get you all onto the show. Tania, Dan Woike, obviously with the NBA around the corner. Bill Plaschke of World Series Talk. Hopefully we can get that going, and we're going to continue to evolve. Any ideas, any suggestions, let me know. My Twitter, Durant Sports. Angel Rodriguez, very active on social media. AJ Rod, he's the sports editor. You heard him. Like, he's the big boss. He's not going to come back. But, the big boss is always watching and paying attention. And it was fun. The first one, really had no idea what we were going to do. But it rolled. And we're done. And we'll keep on coming. And there's so many cool stories. And the beauty about working at the LA Times, and these are people that I've been in locker rooms with, clubhouses with for years, know them. And there is no rivalry when you're in the media. It's not like when you're watching TV or a movie and you're like, oh, I'm asking a question and you're elbowing. No. We all know each other. We know what's up. It's like, hey, cool. Let's go ahead and talk, and let's get to know everybody's story. And that's one of the things. The writers might be writing a story, but they all have their own story. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make the newspaper that we're going to talk about here on Arrive Early, Leave Late. Thanks a lot to Angel Rodriguez and everybody at the LA Times. And of course, can't do it without the people behind the scenes, engineered by Mike Heflin, who made it sound all smooth. He might be from St. Louis. We're going to get him that Dodger hat. Get him a Laker hat. He knows what's up. And it's produced by Dave Wine. Dave Wine. Doesn't it sound like a producer name? It sounds smooth, right? You know what? Just for that, I'm going to go have me some Cabernet, Dave Wine. Thank you guys as always. Coming up, though, another episode. More talk about LA sports, and we couldn't do it without you. Keep those suggestions coming. Subscribe. Anywhere you listen, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google, whatever it is you go and you listen to your podcast, subscribe, let people know, share, and share. Yeah, that's why Shane was begging. Thank you. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. Arrive early, leave late. Hosted by Beto Duran, an LA Times Studios production.